Welcome to the Next Level Show. We are up and running. For people that missed us and think that we have not recorded for the last 2 weeks, we technically did, but apparently for YouTube, you guys have all the episodes are up. For our audio listeners, we are missing an episode that we are trying to figure out what's going on with our uploads, but we are grateful to be back sharing some content with you guys. We have a good episode lined up in regards a little bit outside of fitness, and I think that you guys as the listeners will be able to relate this to a lot of different avenues, and I hope it kind of gets the brain going and thinking and reflecting on personal things that may be going on to just better improve your life. Mike, how's it going, bro?
It's going pretty good. We had a busy, I guess, a couple of 2 weeks to kind of update people. We had had a birthday party for Oliver that was fun. And then we had one of those things you hear about but don't really experience very often, at least this is our first one, was the first big expense of owning a home. Our plumbing pipes underneath the house in the foundation, there was a pretty big clog in one of them, and without getting too graphic, some stuff started coming up through drains, and it was not a good time, and it was not cheap to get it fixed. So that was this past weekend, so that sucked. But that's why we have savings accounts and backup funds and stuff like that, so we were able to take care of it, but it still sucks.
No, man, that's crazy. I didn't know, but I'm glad that you guys had little Oliver's birthday recently.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Not to bog it down too much with bad news, but yeah, that was fun. It was cool to see him. I was wondering if we were going to see maybe some favorites show up, because he's never been in an environment where me and Jen and my parents and her parents are all around. Those are the people he spends the most time with. So I wasn't sure if he was going to show his colors on being, wanting to be with me or wanting to be with Jen or my dad or her dad or whoever. And he actually didn't. He just kind of floated, and he was totally cool with it. And after, because we had some kids over too, after a while, he kind of settled in, and he was actually playing with other kids. So that was pretty cool to see. But he wanted nothing to do with his cake, and he was cranky as fuck afterwards, and we immediately put him down, and he slept for 3 hours. We've never really, yeah, he was completely wiped. So were we. I mean, I haven't had a party at my house like that ever. I mean, we've had, I used to live in the party house when I worked at a restaurant way back in the day, but that's completely different. Just pick up some beer and whatnot and have people over. That's different. This was getting all the stuff together and putting up decorations and getting chairs and doing all the stuff like that. So, but yeah, it was exhausting. Everybody was tired after that, but it was a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah. Glad to hear. You got the audio's coming in okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool, because I switched up my mic setting just to have it a bit more, people that don't know, I had it hung on another setting on my desk, but I decided to switch it up a little bit and organize my room. With that, I'm trying to think. Basically, updates, man. Just kind of just working with technology the best I can, try to figure it out so we can keep bringing some quality content to you guys. I never want to just hop on and just not give any value. So, but I do miss it. So I told them, even though I'll figure out if the computer holds, and we'll do the best we can, because I did miss not having an episode last week. It felt kind of weird not recording.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. But
so, hey, we're back. We do what we can. So,
before, let me just mention this real quick. I've actually gotten back into listening to podcasts myself, but I'm in the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And I have to recommend this one because I've been 1,000% enjoying it. It's called Dungeons and Daddies.
Okay.
Technically, the full name is Dungeons and Daddies, not a BDSM podcast, but it's a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, which I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. I knew very little when I first started it, and it's not really that nerdy in that way, but it's basically like a comedy show, and it is fucking hilarious. Like I audibly laugh with each and every single episode. And if you're into that sort of like, it's very casual, you're not going to learn anything, it's just for a good time. It's a good show, and it's a pretty. They put a lot of production value into it, so I'm kind of getting back into the listening space in some regard, at least.
That's
But
good.
it's a good time for sure.
Yeah, I've been catching some episodes here and there. I've been catching up. I actually just checked out Mind Pumps. I haven't been able to keep up with them. They just produce so much content now that I haven't even been on the podcast that much. Been trying to catch up on some other content creators episodes, and they released one with Tony Robbins. Finally, they
Oh,
interviewed Tony Robbins
oh yeah, I remember
recently,
they
and they
were in Florida doing that, right?
correct. Yeah. So they went to his house, they recorded with him. I'm almost done with the episode. I've been listening to it in segments, and it's a great episode so far. A lot of fascinating biohacking stuff that I was not aware that existed already. That seems to have pretty good funding behind it, and already some good data, some hard
Biohacking,
tangible
like
biohacking.
gene
Others
editing.
not necessarily that, but when it comes to just improving health, being able to catch certain things ahead,
Oh, okay.
and then some other fun, just luxurious biohacking stuff if you have the ability and the funds to do so, and if you've covered your other bases. But other stuff when it comes to sicknesses, how to catch, excuse me, other diseases, and that can happen before it, catch it way ahead. Because a lot of times what happens is that when we get, people get sick and they die from something, typically it's because certain methods that we use, excuse me, certain methods that we used weren't able to read those things or catch them ahead of time. But now we have obviously better technology than in the last couple of years, and everything's advancing pretty quickly, where they're able to kind of scan for cancers that are not even formed yet and stuff like that. So you're able to nip
Oh,
those things in
that's
a couple minutes. So super powerful stuff. I have to finish listening to it. It's a lot of information. I'm gonna probably have to re-listen to it again. I've never been like a big Tony Robbins person, if I'm honest. I've never like people like talk about him a lot, and I know that he's been around for a long time and has a lot of good stuff to say. I actually think someone wants to let me borrow one of their books, but yeah, I mean, it's just because I felt like he fell under to that that rah like just say
yeah.
stuff. But apparently, I mean, he actually has some good stuff to say. Just listening to him talk and have a full conversation. So I think that if it wasn't for the Minecraft guys interviewing, I wouldn't have been aware of this. But now I'm interested to hear his take on health because he's super into just taking care of himself and helping and having people understand things, so or having access to taking care of themselves. Because let's face it, we have one body, right? So we got to make sure we can educate ourselves on, and obviously like the most important things you can do are, anyone can do it, manage good sleep, try to minimize junk food, like all like the ultra processed foods, that to a smaller degree, and prioritize other things in your life. um they make a big impact because you can do all the biohacking in the world, all the super fancy health toys and technology and gadgets, but if you're not covering those basics, you're not going to probably get really far. So we still advocate for that, of course. But if you're someone that already is, you feel like you have a good grasp on things, that might be a great episode for you to check out, and you're definitely going to be learning some things. I know I did for sure. So I've been trying to dive back into health and fitness content. I haven't been for a while, so just to kind of it kind of sparks more ideas for topics, as well as conversations even with my clients, just being able to give them some information, maybe stuff, perspectives that I didn't think about.
Yeah, I like that. I've never really given him any. I don't think I've listened to Tony Robbins speak once. I know of him, and I know like what a spiel is, and I'm kind of just not interested in that. So I just like if I see his name, I'm like, eh,
Yeah.
not interested. But it makes sense that he's technically he's putting on a show for that kind of stuff, for the motivational stuff and all the rah bullshit that he does. But yeah, I guess listening to him talk about something else in more of a conversation format would probably be a little more interesting. I mean, I guess he's a successful human, so he's got to have something cool to talk about. I mean, that only makes sense. But
So what I've noticed is that that the energy that he has, that he displays, you would think it's a show, right? It's like what he does because he's on stage, but he does these seminars that are X amount of hours long a day, or over the course of many days, where he's going nonstop. And for some reason, he just has an ultra like he has an ability to recover that most people don't. Just because of how he has these genetic things that have happened. Obviously, he has that gigantic syndrome, like giant syndrome or whatever. And
giganticism or whatever.
yeah, something like that. Like he has that all his life. So other things that come, he has a lot of obviously HGH in him that bodybuilders pay thousands of dollars a month to have, and he has it for free. So he just has all these things that allow him genuinely to recover very quickly. So a lot of it is real. Like that's just how he lives. Like he only needs a little bit to bounce back to normal, and that's what makes him, I guess, so electrifying and so captivating for a lot of people that go and listen to his stuff. They feel almost drawn in. So um after a certain point, you can't fake it. So which is kind of refreshing on my end. That
Yeah.
it makes me more open to hear other stuff. So I might check out some more of his content, more on the health side stuff. But pretty cool. I mean, good for them that being able to kind of finally. I know they've been wanting to do that interview for a very long time, and they finally got it. So kudos to them. Um, but that's kind of all the updates I have on my end. I guess anything that's interesting to talk about. But
I
I have
do.
yeah, one more thing, Mike.
Well, yeah, I did want to mention this, just because I know you don't have much time for video games anymore, and this would be more of a time sink for you. But the same developer that did Sekiro, From Software, just released a
Mhm.
new title. You probably heard about it, Elden Ring. Maybe you saw something
Mm,
on the internet or whatever, but it's basically another iteration. It's not Sekiro per se. You're not a ninja. You're not in that universe anymore, but um, same developer, same concept. Die to a boss 50 times and then finally get that big epic win. Great feeling, that sort of thing. New game just came out. It's a massive, massive map. Really cool, very intricate story.
mhm.
At least from what I can understand, because I haven't gotten very far. Because I'm on dad hours, so I'm basically
Yeah.
sacrificing sleep to play for a little bit every night.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's a really good time. So yeah,
What's the name of it?
Elden Ring,
Elden.
ELDEN Ring.
Okay. Elden Ring. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll check it out. I mean, I haven't seen my console in months because my brother took it. So he has it in his room playing since his broke. So I've been console less. So my free time for games, I've been still playing chess pretty consistently. Trying to get my rating up. So trying to get up there, trying to get up to like at least a 1200, maybe eventually a 1500. So I'm technically in the closer to the advanced range. Learning a lot on my free time. It's just kind of my way to disconnect from work. But the rest of the time, I've been actually very in. I'm picking up again, really making a push this year for some things, and there's a couple things on the way. Um, so we'll see kind of what the future has in store. There's some opportunities arising that I don't want to talk about it just yet because um I have to figure that out first, all the details before, and then eventually I'll bring it up to the podcast and I'll share it. I'll probably talk to you off air about it. But anyways, I kind of wanted to touch base on a subject that it's been sitting on my mind for a little bit. So I thought if it's been sitting this long, I got to talk about it. I might even make some reels on this. It's going to be called well, it's basically on the importance of relationships. Based on the title, you can tell what we're going to be touching base on. Also, for people that don't know, Mike does the show notes for the show, so you guys can go to exactly the time where we break down different things about it. And also, for anyone that's new, we do that for every episode. So every episode you have an interest in, you can kind of see where we touch base on what, and you can kind of jump around if you are short on time. But with that being said, so I was listening to this from the I'm part of a group from the NCI, and the Mind Pump did a collaboration, and every week there's different topics, and this particular topic was, I think, a very important one to discuss, and something that I haven't heard in a long time. It's, well, when I say a long time, it's been maybe a year that I haven't touched base on some fundamentals, and I think that with how everything is advancing, you overall start to learn a bunch of different things in different spaces or different tactics or different ways to scale a business or to become more successful, may it be or just relationship, or just things in general. But something that I never forgot, but it was good, a good refreshing topic, was the importance of relationships, that they are probably the most fundamental thing that you need to have established, if you want to be successful in any endeavor in your life. Because if you suck at having a relationship, or you just suck at, managing them or establishing them or keeping them, you may run into some problems, or where things get a little harder if you don't have those connections, right? It's not necessarily just to extract value from people. It's very important to highlight that you also have to be a person that provides value. And this goes in different tiers. This is why some people start establishing relationships with people maybe that are higher up. But to get into those positions, you also need to be adding value to these people's lives to, into some degree, to be able to get into certain circles. It's also important, I would say, the people that you have around you constantly. Those relationships impact tremendously, on all facets, or if not many facets of your life. And they can also be big contributors to success. They can be propelling you in the right direction, or they can be kind of taking away or pushing you out of your taking you out of your purpose. So hearing these things and kind of going at it from, reframing the mindset, and prioritizing relationships over just money, or just what can I get from my partner, or what can I get from, just the people to give me stuff. If you can reframe that and see, and kind of take a step back, you'll analyze that, like, if things are going well in my life, and I look at who I have in my life, I always contribute a lot of thanks to those people, because when my life is going great, it's usually because I also have a great circle, right? When you feel kind of down, or you feel kind of like in a funk, you analyze your life, like, what's going on? And sure, there's other things that are going on, but also I think that maybe it's because I haven't connected with certain people in a long time, or I haven't spoke, just even just talked briefly with so and so. And I'm not saying that you have to be filling your day with just like bombarding people and having multiple conversations a day, but I think that touching base, going out of your way, and analyzing these things can also be a factor as to why maybe things aren't going well. Um, we know the importance of, I would even say, like, is very common, is romantic relationships. You know how much that affects someone's mood if that is not going well. Typically everything else seems to suck. But we're not going to make this on a dating episode, but just take it from that standpoint, like, just one relationship, which seems to be typically your one of the, if not most important relationship you have. So choose wisely here. But you can tell by just that one thing how it can kind of affect other areas. Now, to another other degree, it can kind of open or close doors and maybe some opportunities that you may want to proceed on, or make some, or take advantage of. So I think that there's a lot of self work here, but I kind of wanted to open it up, Mike. And what do you think about when you think about relationships in general?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty well known and established that humans are extremely social animals, and we don't do well when we're lacking that social interaction. I mean, it's a fundamental part of us being functioning humans. It's just the way we are. And I mean, even to take what you said about having a bad day with a significant other or something like that, and that makes everything else suck, or if things are rocky, then everything sucks. If you have a shitty relationship with any significant person in your life, it tends to put a cloud over everything. I mean, if you have a boss that sucks, that tends to make life just a little bit more challenging, and that's something that maybe we need to. I mean, that can also be a whole separate conversation, because
Absolutely.
work relationships and all that kind of stuff. But it's extremely important to kind of take stock in who you spend time with, who you keep around, and so to make sure that it's a two-way street. It has to go both ways. You have to be a friend and have a friend at the same time, so to speak. And it definitely. I mean, I've lived a very reclusive sort of lifestyle in my past, where I wasn't really interacting with very many people, and I can confidently tell you that was probably the worst couple years of my life. Very minimal interaction and with anybody, and the times that I did have with other people, I was just miserable. So it was like there was just no fun to be had. There was no joy. There was no value. Um, it wasn't a very good time. So you know, fast forward a couple years to where I am now, and I've got all these wonderful relationships, significant other, son, parents, friends. In that regard, I'm like living the high life right now. And that's something that takes a little bit of work and investment and stuff like that. But I'd say it's extremely extremely important to just about every other aspect of your health.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this also comes with a very important piece that I wanted to mention before I forget. This also comes with a very big degree of self-awareness, right? You need to be very self-aware with yourself first, so you can understand kind of like what you want out of life and what you want from certain relationships, because not all are created equal, and some may be ones that you may want to limit or cut off. I just think that as a society, we take it into an extreme um, where we almost like brag about Team No New Friends, and there was songs that came out like back in the day, like Team No New Friends, with it's all about keeping my circle super small and all this stuff. And I think that it's actually a very bad mentality to have, because I analyze, I'm like thinking my circle is very big. Am I doing something wrong based on my circle not being so tight? And I'll clarify, like I do have people that we are just more close based on where we're at life, or just personal reasons, or whatever the case may be. Um, but I actually have a tremendous amount of people that I'm in touch with, that some I'm closer with than others, and some I'll probably think of more for certain tasks or things. But I think that I was always a super introverted growing up, and like you said, you were past the time, Mike, that you kind of were kind of more to yourself. You can say, right?
Yeah.
Um, I did the same thing, but growing up as a kid. So growing up, I wasn't the kid that had many friends at school, so I always kind of like dreaded the first couple of weeks, or first couple of days of the new year of class, because I was like, I'm really hoping I can make a friend, or someone to talk to, because I was super shy. And I always luckily at least had one friend, or one close friend in class every year. And so I was never like completely alone, but like it was always hard for me. And it came to a point in my life that I literally thought to myself, like, I don't want to be like this. And someone I actually do like admire is my dad in this regard. So I always looked up to him, in that he always seemed to be talking to people. People wanted to be his friend. So you met my dad, Mike. You know how he's pretty like sociable. Like
Yeah.
he'll just talk to you about anything and say what's up, and give you a hug, and offer you food if you're at the house or whatever. You've tasted my dad's cooking too, so you
Yes.
know how it is. So, but this is kind of like a thing that I wanted to implement in my life and have. And I didn't know at the time that what I was really doing. And what I've noticed is that the success that I've been able to achieve thus far, and the things that have been able to happen, such as this podcast, such as becoming fully self-employed, just things that I've been able to accomplish were not because I'm a self-made individual where no one was there to help me and no one was there to back me up and support. No, on the contrary, it's because of the people that I've been able to connect with and have around me is that things have been possible as well. Obviously, you got to put your foot forward. You got to do your own work. You got to kind of like set yourself up right for improve your chances for success, but I contribute a lot of my being content, being genuinely happy, and I don't say happy like in a feeling way, but just more on that content side where I'm not miserable. Like people, I hear a lot of negative self talk, man, and I never understood it. But then when I heard this episode, when I heard well not this episode, but this conversation, and then I analyzed other people that were coming to me with these negative self talks or just problems and stress and anxiety and just a bunch of just bad shit. The common denominator here was lack of quality relationships. Oh, there's no good people in my around me. I hate this city. Stuff that you've probably heard too, Mike, that people think that moving away is the problem.
Yeah.
But this is where the self-awareness piece is so critical because you got to see like why the fuck am I so miserable? And why does it seem that my life sucks or these people suck? Cuz I have them like I'm in the same city and I have there's great people here. Like good people that I can talk to, that I know that, I can hit up and, if I need something or we can just hang out and touch base, like life is great. And a lot of it is because I've been able to just talk to those people. Like me and you, Mike, after training, like we just obviously we got connected through fitness. But then I got to a point where I'm like, dude, let's work out or let's come to my place or let's grill a steak here and there because something that we bonded over outside of just working out. And it kind of propelled you to be probably more comfortable to join the personal training space, and just I just value so much just being able to connect with people and help people and try to see if I can add some type of value, whether if it's very small or maybe they don't need it, but just the act of just showing up is very important. So before I go too much on a tangent, just want to recap on my 2 points. Is just I think that starts with a lot with self-awareness and what you want out of life and where you're at right now, and maybe you do have to work through some things about yourself, maybe talk to someone, get some professional help if you seem like you have very bad relationships with a lot of people. Then I think this is understanding that yes, you will have a tight circle of maybe your common close people, of course, absolutely. But don't close yourself off to new relationships. And because relationships are everything. As the saying goes, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that is a very true thing across the board. So I kind of wanted to stop there and let you Mike kind of chime in there.
Yeah, if you weren't gonna say it, then I was gonna say it. But yeah, I mean it's true. But fuck, I was just gonna say something and you said that. It threw me off track. No, but when you originally brought this up as the topic idea, I definitely wanted to hammer in the point of, the importance of relationships with other people and then also the importance of relationships with yourself. And I think taking inventory on your friends, your family, coworkers, whatever, but then also with yourself and evaluating yourself in that way is a probably more important part of anything else, because if you're not in a healthy place with yourself, it's going to be a lot more challenging for you to be in a healthy place with anybody else. And I mean, we've
Absolutely.
all known people that are just toxic to the core. And
Hmm.
honestly, who really wants to be good friends with that person? And do you
Yeah,
really, really trust somebody like that? Like, no. And if you're in a place where you're like that, you got a lot of work potentially cut out for you, but it's something that'll definitely lead to a quality of life improvement. And it'll, I mean, honestly, I've got some people in my past, people that I was friends with for 10 or so years that I don't really talk to anymore because, I just saw where they were going and where I was going, and things just stopped lining up. And it wound up being, in retrospect, it was more of a negative interaction than anything else. And I think I'm kind of better off distancing. No bad blood or anything like that, but sometimes those choices have to be made. And and if you're not looking out for yourself in some ways, then nobody's really looking out for you. So, um, take an inventory and it's kind of staying on the evaluation with people. Not to say that everybody's under the gun or on the chopping block at all times, but just being careful about who you surround yourself with, because
Yeah.
it does affect a lot of things. And what's the saying? You're the sum of the three people or the five people that you spend the most time with.
Hmm.
I think there's definitely a lot of truth to that, but um, that being said, you still have to do the work, and you still have to be self-aware while you're going through the process, because if you end up in the wrong circle, you could potentially put yourself in some pretty funky situations depending on what circle it is. So it's definitely important for sure.
I think that one point I want to highlight too, and I might trigger some people. It's the I don't throw the word toxic around lightly. But we were talking about those people that you just, unless this is you too, that you have that victim mentality and it's almost like the world's out to get you type thing.
Yeah.
And obviously if you grew up in a situation where it kind of molded you to think this way, obviously we understand here, but I'm going to give you an uncomfortable truth. The world doesn't owe you understanding, and you have to take complete ownership eventually if you're conscious enough to fix that, if you want to change the trajectory of your life. And I don't say that to sound like a complete a person that's insensitive to someone's struggle, but when I heard this, I was like, that sounds horrible. But then I really thought about it and I'm like, this is very true, because if I just continue to play that victim card with myself, it just, it doesn't allow me to actually make progress forward. And I think that it's just, it aligns you with taking ownership over your life and over your decisions. We cannot control what always happens around us, but we can always control how we decide to proceed forward.
Yep.
And so you need to kind of develop that mentality that, regardless of anything, I'm going to just choose to do something better for myself, get myself out of a position where maybe it's not favorable, so I don't repeat the cycle maybe of my past or other people. So I think that it's very important to emphasize that. And if you seem to have me having a lot of fallouts and always problems with people, you may be the problem itself. So,
Yeah.
so I know this is gonna piss someone off and maybe think like, yeah, well, you don't know this is what happened, but it doesn't
Oh man.
matter. It doesn't matter. You might just be the problem. So, like we said, Mike and I just kind of, you need to do some inventory on yourself and get yourself out of that. And obviously, yeah, you may have to end those relationships, and there might just not be an ideal place for you to grow. But I guarantee you that if you start kind of addressing certain things, then you'll start kind of actually interacting with other people that are healthy, that are in a right place. And it's kind of like, I hate using the law of attraction, but it's, yeah, in retrospect, you do attract who you are. You attract people similar to you. So if you have you're a negative person, typically like you're gonna find more negative people, it seems like, right? But if you chase
Oh yeah.
people that are more optimistic or kind of gonna encourage good things in your life, you're probably going to start thinking in a different way as well. So yeah, the average of, you're the average of the five people you surround yourself with the most, is, or it can be in any number you think of, but typically just think of it that way. When it comes to even just, people say that if you're surrounding about 5 millionaires, you're probably going to be the sixth. Or if you're someone you're around five or six druggies, you're probably going to be the sixth or seventh. It's just it can go for both ways, right? So just definitely keep that in account. Another thing that I thought too, when it comes to business, guys, I think that it's extremely important to always come from the mindset of giving and and adding value to other people and other businesses, and uh, contribute in some way, shape, or form, if you want also your business to grow too. Because if you just think about it from a monetary standpoint, you're going to be probably frustrated when things aren't going well financially or when it's not climbing at the speed you want. Versus, I like Jason Phillips' quote. He says, "Impact over everything." He uses that for his branding, but it's very true. You want to focus on making impact in people. These are people that clients that you're serving, or people that you provide a service for, or people that you're trying to connect with and learn from. So if you come at it from a point of serving and adding value, your business, you'll see that your business will begin to be more prosperous and grow and become more successful. Insert whatever success is for you in your business, what you're trying to accomplish. So I kind of wanted to make a point from the business perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, actually, that reminds me of a conversation we had after my meeting that I had this morning that I was hoping wasn't going to be 2 hours, which it was an hour and a half. But towards the tail end, we were talking because I'm doing residential design again, and this is just completely different industry altogether. But the person we were having a meeting with was talking about getting into more of the charitable type stuff that my mom has always been doing, and it's actually like, I mean, it's spot on because you get more exposure. Of course, you get to put your brand name on the paper or the flyer or the project or whatever, and that's great. But you're also meeting all of the other like-minded people. I mean, if you're doing charitable contributions to whatever, to anything, any industry, I mean, you're going to meet other people in that field that are also doing charitable things. And I mean, of course there's assholes everywhere, but if somebody's doing something for charity, they're probably not such a bad person, and that's probably somebody that you should maybe consider having a conversation with or making a business connection with or something like that. So,
Hmm.
kind of giving back and not just taking from whatever the situation is can lead you to more of those people that may be better suited for your circle, whether that's your interpersonal circle or your business circle or whatever fold you want to bring them into. Um, Doing that kind of stuff can really enrich your life, both through just being kind, but also bringing you more like-minded people that can enrich your life in other ways. So it's definitely, I mean, definitely worth considering.
Absolutely. And I guess transitioning over to, we can touch base on like even just like intimate relationships, romantic relationships. This holds true as well. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, sounds great and everything, but there is a point that both parties are contributing something to keep the relationship going. It can be from different parts emotionally, different parts even materialistically. Um, but and always you want to be contributing and with the mindset of just not what can I get from this other individual, and this can kind of translate even from friendships. I'll even just open it up a little bit, even from a friendship standpoint. It's not always like I don't know, Mike, if you ever had this person like this type of friend or this personality that they only seem to hit you up when is and they only like is to ask you to do something for them or they need you to give them something. I've had friendships like that where it was kind of even annoying that
Yeah.
and you don't even know why it is like but then you make the connections like this person only like really talks to me is like when they seem to like need something versus just genuinely caring, right? So don't be that person. Like, if I
Takers.
always, yeah, just takers. But I have relationships, man, with people that I don't really get to see much because maybe, we're all busy and stuff. But I always try to make it a thing where I send them something or I give them, or I just say, hey, like, how you doing? Like, or how are you? Or try to in some way just connect and not even ask anything. Um, and just to kind of always be uh, keeping those relationships alive and kind of staying relevant and not from a needy perspective because you need like all these no, but it's just like if you genuinely appreciate someone, don't be afraid to just show them that you care, right? And I think that this is also a good practice. Ben Pekulski, I think, did this on one of his that podcast, that episode that we kind of coined as one of our favorite, Mike. Kind of like take a moment where you just you write down a couple of things that you're grateful for, but as also maybe three people that you may be grateful for, people, right? And you just send them a quick message, explain, just letting them know that hey, I'm grateful for you. or hey, like, I was just thinking about you, hope you're doing well, let's catch up soon, or let's talk soon. And it seems so small, but the feedback that I get, man, from just being like, you know what, like out of blue, this person like it's a random Tuesday or whatever, and they start their day off and they get a message from like you maybe haven't talked to them in a couple weeks or whatever, months, or even years. It might be for someone they've been dealing with years. Just say something you're something you think about them, something you miss about them, something you're grateful for that whatever. That goes a long way. It can really just turn things around for that individual, and then that makes a big impact. People always remember how you made them feel. Obviously, sometimes they remember more what you made them feel negative for versus the positive. But this doesn't take the way that you can still do some good, right? So, and to kind of tie it back for my point as on my end for the sense of romantic relationships, you got to go into it. Um, Once again, checking inventory on who you are as a person, where you're at, because these are probably one of the most important relationships of your life, if not the most. And you want to make sure your head's on straight, your mindset's good, you're healthy, and that way you're actually contributing to another person. And as a result, you get more, right? You get more from an individual from giving. So it's not how little can I give, but it's how much I can give on all aspects in a healthy way that will just make the bond and the person want to also reciprocate these things naturally. And it just kind of is like it's a constant cycle, and it's one is filling the other, and there's always like it's a nice synchrony, right? So I think that's kind of important to note, that to keep in mind. And this is my personal, like, just me viewing things, how I've been seeing things lately with when it comes to just relationships, friendships, and intimate relationships.
Yeah, you have to be. We are Venom.
Yeah, you have to have a
Yes,
symbiotic
yes.
relationship.
It's we. We are Venom. We are Groot. Um, yeah, I think you said that very well, and that can be a whole podcast
Now,
all on its own.
do you think that just a side note, do you think that Venom and Ed Hardy, what's his name? Ed what? Ed
So,
what's his
are
the
you talking about the
character?
guy who plays him, or the name of the guy in the
The name of the
universe?
character. I know is
Eddie
Ed
Eddie
something.
Brock.
Eddie Brock. Um, do you think that's a toxic relationship? Because like Venom technically needs
Yes,
him to survive.
yes, it is. It's very
so
toxic.
so I think that's not really a good. I was like thinking about it. I'm like, I think he actually needs him
I
literally
guess
to, if not he dies.
it would probably
Uh
depend on which version you're using. I think there were iterations of Venom where he was a little bit more toxic than others, we'll say.
yeah,
Kind of more like the way Carnage was with whatever that guy's name was,
yeah,
but yeah.
that's
Um
funny.
so yeah, I mean, just use Venom as a good measuring stick for your relationship. I think that's good
Jesus
advice.
Christ. Please don't. And if you do, just blame Mike with your failed relationship,
Yeah,
not
right.
me. But I think that the last point I kind of want to go to when it comes to this, the importance of relationships, and obviously the impact that it can have in your business, it can have in your personal relationships with people. But this also can have a relationship with how you view exercise and how you view this whole fitness thing. And obviously, we are a fitness podcast, but we talk about life as well. But I kind of wanted to save that part for last. How you view certain things with exercise, with yourself in this case as a solo person, will make or break your fitness journey, right? For a while. I'm not saying that it's that you can never improve if you are not in a good place with that, but it's very important to highlight that you probably want to be aware of it, that it can make it a lot more sustainable, where people will actually start doing things for the right reasons. And right is kind of like an arbitrary word here, because you want to, when we say right, I mean it's right in the sense that like you're not just doing it for the sole shallow reasons forever, right? You can do that. I'm not saying that it's not completely a negative, but I would say that you want to establish good relationship with extras why you're doing this, because those are the people that actually stick with this forever. With they're the 70-year-old, 80-year-old person that goes and has been exercising for 30, 40, 50 years. Um, and they love it. They just do their thing. There's no there's no question as to why. They're just living life and staying healthy. And obviously there's very a lot of subgroups when it comes to fitness. And I'm saying I would, if you have an able body and you want to try different avenues, I'm not against it. Absolutely go and take advantage that your body is able. But eventually you want to kind of make sure that you don't get too far on one spectrum, that you forget kind of the value of it. And it also, I want to say that if fitness is completely damaging the relationships around you, once again, it is your fault, and you want to make sure that you take this with a grain of salt and analyze why. And I'm talking about like healthy relation. I'm not talking about like because you started working out, your buddies that are still choosing to always eat fast food and drink every weekend and belligerently, like, and you kind of like damage those relationships. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about like, the relation with the people around you, because you become so tunnel vision, and the gym now becomes kind of your drug, to the point that it just starts affecting other areas and taking away from your overall fulfillment as a human being. So I know we're getting a little deep on this podcast, but I'm not gonna go too much further in that, right? They're gonna be like, we're gonna start kumbayaing in a second, me and Mike here on air.
Yep.
But but no, it's like just wanted to make that a point too, because like I said, the importance of relationship bleeds into everything. It's literally how we function as a successful human. If you can work on these things and self-analyze, be very aware of this, it can make or break a lot of different things. And it also, when it comes to taking care of yourself, we know that a healthier body just does better with everything. So even though I saved this for last, this technically is first. So then you can kind of go on and about and do your thing in all other facets of whatever life wants to take you.
Um, I don't have anything else to add, but I did forget to ask this. And I hope we're not cutting or adding too much time to the end of this. That's pointless.
No,
But
no.
they did. So I think it's out now. The new Batman movie with
Yeah, it's
Robert
official.
Pattinson.
Yep. Yeah.
I heard really, really good things about it. Um, but I found an article from I believe it was the CEO of AMC, or whoever, like one of the higher ups would be at AMC movie theaters.
Hmm.
Not to give them a plug, but I think everybody knows who AMC is. But apparently they're going to be testing out, or they have been testing out, the concept of charging more for more popular movies, air quotes there. So like this new Batman movie that just came out, the ticket price is going to be more or higher than one of the other movies that they perceive to be worse or lower performing or something of the sort.
Hmm.
And they even mentioned that they were going to start testing the waters with charging more for the good seats. And when I say the good seats in reference to a movie theater, we all know what the good seats are. We all
Mm.
know what the bad seats are. So if you want the good seats, you got to pay a little more on top of the little bit more that you're already paying, because it's going to be a better movie, air quotes for our
What?
listeners. Something that it's a concept. I don't know that they're necessarily doing that now. I think he was saying that the ticket price is going to be a little bit more for like a movie like this, because Batman's obviously super popular. But I'm like, dude, like right now, this very moment in time, where the film industry it's basically on its heels, coming from COVID. Everything was shut down. They were doing a whole bunch of home releases, and for a lot of movies that works out way better. Way better. I mean, yeah, there's definitely movies that I want to go see in the movie theaters for sure. But to then come out with like that as a solution and like read about that, I'm like, dude, like are you like actively trying to kill it again, or like what's the deal here? And I just wanted, because I know you love movies too. Like, how does that make you
Yeah,
feel?
dude, I'm thinking about that. I don't think it's gonna work. One, that kind of it would have to be a movie that I am, and lately there hasn't been a movie that has come out in the last like 2 years that I've been crazy about. The one I was actually really looking forward to was Spider-Man. I watched that the night it came out. But everything
Hmm,
else, dude, I
Godzilla versus
haven't.
Kong. I mean,
Yeah, but
like that's
even
a
then,
movie
but
theater
even
movie,
what but I watched that at home. That's
Yeah,
the crazy. I
I did
watched
too.
it at home because I thought about it. I'm like, dude, I have a good TV. I have a surround sound. I'm in the comfort of my own house. I have the little light set up in the back. I'll get some popcorn, some drinks, chill. Everything was fantastic. So, dude, during that whole time, I watched every movie at home. Did I watch Kong and Godzilla in movie theater? I don't think so, dude. I could have watched it. I don't remember. I think I watched it at home though. But dude, I mean, it's just so accessible. If they have that option, I'll probably always kind of lean towards that. But if they do that, I don't know how well it'll do. I think the level of the theater will have to go up though,
Yeah. Oh,
because
absolutely. Yeah.
I can see one of the local theaters here that's nice, probably would work, the Del Prado location, but the AMC here is trash, dude.
Yeah. It's
It's not great, so I'm not gonna pay more than $15, and that's even asking a lot for that seat. Um, I don't think it's gonna work. It just depends. They would have to really just put a lot of thought in, like, renovating and keeping everything up to date. Like, the movie experience here is very interesting. I don't know. Obviously, there's a more upscale spots that you can actually get food catered and stuff, and that's cool. That's a cool like you go and sit down. You have a little table. You can actually have a meal and watch a movie. In our country, in Colombia, and I'm pretty sure like my other Guatemalan side, they have the same thing in certain areas. But in Colombia, for example, they have very great service there, dude. It's like it's a very comfortable movie experience if you want it to be, right? And you can go and get some great popcorn choices. There are different options. There's like burgers you can get, like, these amazing food options you can eat while you're watching this movie. So that I understand. But I don't know about the seat, paying an extra for a seat. What?
yeah,
That's
just for
that's
a seat.
wild.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because I've been to one movie theater like that, like a place where you can go and sit down and have a meal and do that. And that
Yeah.
was awesome. And of course, it's a little more pricey, but
It's the
it feels more
experience.
worth it. Yeah, you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck out of it, and especially like yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like the AMC here is kind of like the ghetto movie theater around town. Like that's
Yeah.
where I used to go when I was younger and I didn't have money, and I would like
Mhm.
sneak in because that was the easy place to sneak in. And then you go to the one on Del Prado. I think it's a what, Marquee.
Allegedly.
They have reclining seats and like it's really
Yeah.
really nice in there, and like that place, like I could see it there, but yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, that's weird. And then the guy was even mentioning like he was likening it to the concept of like the best seats at a football stadium cost more. And I'm like, bro, like that is not parallel
I have to look
whatsoever.
into
Live
it.
sports
Yeah.
compared to a movie theater is completely different atmosphere. Like, oh
Yeah.
man. But
Dude, because honestly, I would pay, like, a couple bucks less and sit, like, right next to that good seat. It's like
yeah, right.
the one right next door, like, right next
Or
to it, so
I mean, I was like, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, with how quickly it's because like I mean you remember the times where like from movie theater to like being able to rent it from Blockbuster, it felt like forever back in the day.
yeah.
And now it's
Blah,
like a couple
Blockbuster.
months go by and the movie's already
We're
out and
telling
you
our
can rent
age.
it. Yeah, right. And like I'm at the point where like if it costs me more money, it's already an expensive trip to go to the movie
Yeah.
theaters. And
Well,
if it's
now
gonna
think
cost
about
me
it, you're a
even more
family.
now, yeah,
Yeah, you're a
I'll
family
just fucking
now.
wait. I'll just
Yeah,
fucking
right
wait.
now
It's
well,
fine.
yeah, I just looked I was at the barber shop and they like, I just see that The Matrix is already out on DVD.
Yeah,
Like,
that was like 2 months ago.
they just came out. Like, before, you used to wait, like, 6 months, like, just to get a movie or whatever, but it seemed like that anyways. It was definitely a while, but I don't know. I don't think it'll succeed. That's my personal take. I gotta look more into it, but yeah, that comparison or that argument that it's like a live sport event, that makes logical sense. You're paying for either paying nosebleed seats or you're paying like sideline seats or like in the office thing that they have for sport viewing.
Oh yeah, like the
But yeah,
box.
yeah, the box. But
I don't know. I just see
anyways,
I see different values there. I don't know.
yeah,
Sport
yeah.
productions or these big live events. It's like once in a lifetime kind of thing, or it's a unique experience at least.
Yeah.
Opening night of a movie theater, that's happening across the world. Thousands upon thousands of movie theaters doing it. I don't know. I don't know.
Think
Either
about it
way.
like it's almost like he's like, "This is an apple, and this is an orange. Bananas."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, they're both fruit, right?
It's like
Makes
they're both
sense.
fruit. Alright, you have anything else for us, Mike, before we wrap up?
Well, this is actually a personal joke. It hits a little close to home, and the person who needs to hear it will, because she listens. But I got yelled at the other day, and Jen was like, "Are you even listening to me?" And I was like, "That's a really weird way to start a conversation." Listen, it's true though. It's true. I don't like actively try to ignore people, but like my brain, this is like a whole little universe all on its own.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes
the
I just
universe
get on my own
between.
little yeah, I get on my own little train of thought, nothing else gets in, and I can't help it. It's just maybe I'm an airhead. I don't know. It's fine.
Oh man. Well, I hope that you don't get yelled at anymore anytime soon. With that being said, listeners, if you guys enjoyed this content, you already know where to find us. Look down and below. We have our Instagram handles attached. We'll be back next week with another value packed episode. If you have any suggestion anytime, feel free to shoot that over as well. And until the next one.